Today on Locked On Canadians, Marty might get fined $25,000 for speaking his opinion, but we won't.
You're Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canadians. We want to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day every day. As you know, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox, no console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. My name is Laura Sab, also known as the Active Stick, and I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful Ian Boisvert. And both of us have a lot to say about the heartbreaker that the Montreal Canadiens lost at the Bell Center. They are now down 3-1 to the Washington Capitals. Miracles do happen. We have seen this team come back from 3-1 against this very team, as well as the last time they made the playoffs in that first round. You know, comebacks like that are no strangers to the Canadiens. And if any team would make me believe, it is this team, this team and this coach. But first, let's talk about the game itself. The Montreal Canadiens were phenomenal on the special teams. However, I feel that their forecheck let them down. And then obviously there was a lot of sideshow to this game. Ian, how are you feeling going into this, talking about the Montreal Canadiens?
I think that, like you said, the 5-on-5 play just wasn't there. It's unfortunate because it has been there in this series. They've played well at 5-on-5. Just wasn't there for them on Sunday night. I thought that, and I guess maybe we should just jump right in and talk about some of the officiating because I think that's where a lot of the focus was immediately after the game. I'll start with the people who are employed by this team. We'll start with Jakub Dobeš. This is from Priyanka Emrith of at Habs and High Heels on Blue Sky. Jakub Dobeš on the confusion that led to the goal after Alex Carrier was hit by Tom Wilson. I don't really know the rules. I felt it should have been a whistle. It's kind of scary, but I guess the rules don't apply for everyone in this league. I have no idea. Marty said, I'll be careful with my words, but it's hard to watch some of these penalty calls. To me tonight, one of the mandates was about embellishing. I think that, and we've talked about, this isn't brand new to this game. We've talked about this Capitals team being big and tough and scary, and then a stiff breeze just happens to knock them over all of the time. I find it to be so disheartening that a series that has been so unbelievably entertaining is being like marred by this aspect of the game. That like the Caps got a 5-on-3 in this game, a lengthy one that was entirely fabricated. Christian Dvorak got the first penalty for high sticking. The stick never touched Pierre-Luc Dubois in the face. He threw his head back, which, Thomas Plekanec used to get a lot of crap for that when he was playing in Montreal. Everyone would say, oh, he's a diver, he's a flopper, whatever. The stick never touched him. Like, that should be a fine. He should be getting a call from the league for embellishing that. It's unbelievably bad. On that same power play, Tom Wilson goes to the front of the net. He gets a stick around his midsection, and he jumps forward. Like, he looks like Sean Avery, just jumping forward, and the refs keep falling for it. And they're just going to keep falling for it. I'm glad, like, every coach in the playoffs, they get one free complain about the refs and get better calls the next game card. And Marty has held on to his until this moment. Like, Ottawa used theirs after game one. Game one, Travis Green was like, they're diving all over the place. Well, he just completely lost his mind. Marty's been very reserved and has waited until this moment to use it. I'm frustrated watching this because it's brutal watching the things that they call and the things they let go. I feel at this point in the series, the Capitals, the refs feel like calling penalties on Montreal is safer because the Capitals' power play has been terrible. It has been. It's just been awful. The Canadiens' penalty kill has been excellent, led by Mike Matheson, who I thought was fantastic in Game 4.
We'll get to that.
We will get to that. And I think that the refs don't want to call penalties that put the Canadiens on the power play because it's been really good, especially the last two games. It turned the tide in Game 3, and it almost did in Game 4 until the referees decided, we're not helping you out anymore. We're done with that. Tom Wilson put his shoulder into Alex Carrier's head on the play that led to the tying goal. And there's just no penalty for a head hit in this league.
There's
Like it's
no
just
excuse for that. There is
no.
absolutely no excuse for that.
No, and it's just we're gonna continue to see it. I thought that, it's funny is that was the best play Tom Wilson made in this series. He's generally been a non-factor to this point, and the only time he made a difference is when he went full Jacob Trouba and put his forearm into somebody's head.
Non-factor or even a net negative?
I think I would say net negative for most of it. This game was his best. I will say celebrating like he did after an empty net goal was like
It's loser behavior.
so embarrassing, man. Like, dude, you're a 1 seed who is, and you scored the second empty net goal, by the way, not even the first one that sealed the victory. That one was just an empty calorie goal. Like, I found that whole thing to just be like, man, this dude is really good at playing the villain and really good at playing this guy nobody else can stand. So I guess I will tip my cap to you for being a repugnant hockey player. Congratulations, Tom Wilson.
He's such a rat. Like he's
great at playing that role, but like the referees are helping him. Like let's make no mistake. He finishes a check very late, very high on Mike Matheson in the corner, and Josh Anderson skates over and shoves him, and whoa, he falls over like a Three Stooges cartoon. Like I can't figure out why they're watching this guy and just deciding that he's allowed to hit anybody and anything at any time he wants. But if he's touched and falls down, that's it. It's a penalty. And it's a guy who they've already nabbed for diving in this series. Josh Anderson pushed him, I think, in game 1, and he got an unsportsmanlike penalty because they took embellishment out of the rule book. It's not a penalty anymore. So they did that to protect doofuses like Tom Wilson, who dive a whole bunch, apparently. This is a new development for him, which I find just really embarrassing for that kind of player who we're told they're so big and tough, and this Capitals team is so big and tough, and none of them can stay on their skates when Brendan Gallagher skates past them. You know what I mean? It's really embarrassing to watch.
Or like even Lane Hudson, who's like maybe 98 pounds. Like, honestly, it truly, it's astounding. Not astounding that they do it. It's astounding that they get away with it, because the thing is, everyone's going to try, right? Like, it's the playoffs. You cheat as much as you possibly can until they don't let you anymore. And this is the thing. They just keep letting them. And according to Marty, if he says like one of the mandates was embellishment, like whatever the Caps and the Canadiens got told was stop diving. And then they just let them keep diving. And so
they immediately rewarded that behavior. Like, that's what's so frustrating is like, this is what we need an eye in the sky referee now, not tomorrow, not 2 years from now. Because it would have seen the Dubois play and gone, that's not a penalty. They would have seen the Tom Wilson headshot on Alex Carrier and said, that's a penalty. The Ovechkin hit on Evans should have been a major. We saw it on Saturday, Florida, Tampa. Matthew Tkachuk did the same thing to Jake Gensel and got a major.
He's not playing the next game.
He didn't get suspended. He should have.
Okay.
It was Hayes that got suspended for a similar play, but they're not suspending Matthew Tkachuk because there is a double standard in this league. If that's Arbor Xhekaj throwing that hit that Ovechkin threw, he's getting a 5 or 10 in a game and he's gone. We're not having this conversation. And one of my favorite things happened in this game, Laura. There was a scrum around the front of the net. There's 3 individual scraps happening, and the only guy to get an escort out of the pile is Arbor Xhekaj, who's not even really doing anything. He gets an escort all the way to the bench. It was a day that started with us learning that the league reached out to the Canadiens and the Capitals to say, knock it off with the pregame stuff, with the warmups, just because Arbor Xhekaj was talking to Tom Wilson before the game and saying words over the red line. And then in this one, before the game started, 2 Washington Capitals, including Alex Ovechkin, made contact with Arbor Xhekaj on the other side of the line.
But that's allowed.
Right. This is what I'm saying. Like the Capitals have set this up to be like that the Canadiens are this goon squad, and we're like half the size of you guys. What are you talking about? Like, and for that to happen in this game and nothing comes of it, for Ovechkin to do what he did to Evans, and it's just a 2-minute minor, like the double standard here is apparent. It's wild. And I'm hoping that maybe, a year of this next year when if the Canadiens are in the playoffs, they're getting that benefit of the doubt because this is a bit of their rookie moment. The referees are tutting them and not giving them the things that they earn. But like, I don't have any real confidence that happens because I think these guys, again, most people are like, oh, they're so biased. They're not biased. They're just not good enough at their job.
They're just bad at their jobs.
They're bad at their job. The league likes it this way, so it will remain this way. And they have no they have no sort of reason to change their behavior. They're not held out of playoff games or things like this. I'll end on this from Jakub Dobiš. They asked him about the officiating, and he said, "I just hope we don't get them in Washington." Talking about Dan O'Rourke and Frederic Lequier. Like, that's two guys who he just said, "I don't want to see them in Game 5 because
I don't want to see them ever."
They were a factor in this game.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating. I've been trying to be good, Laura. I've been trying to be this isn't the officiating. And I don't think the officiating is why the Canadiens lost this game, but it's just frustrating watching a team have to play both the opponents and the officiating. You won't win games like that.
You're living life in hard mode. So the last thing I'll say on that, I won't leave it with Jakub Dobiš's word, is I honestly, like, Marty, you make $3-something million a year.
Take
the fine. Eat the fine. Rip into them and eat the fine.
Yep. And this works, right?
Done.
We've seen this work. I think of the 2019 Cup final, Craig Berube for the Blues. His team was getting no calls. He complained about the calls. He got the calls the rest of the series. Yeah, it works. These guys are human. Make it happen.
Take the fine and send the video. Say the word, send the video, take the fine. Look at this. Explain this to me. Explain why this wasn't 5 minutes. Explain why Tom Wilson didn't get a penalty. That's what I would have done. Again, if I made that kind of money, I don't make that kind of money, but thankfully I'm not getting fined 25, or Marty's not getting fined because I said words, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Here's the thing. It was a heartbreaker, but there are a lot of positives in this game, not just for today, not just for tonight, but for the future. So we want to talk about that. And then later on the show, we'll talk about what's next for this team. And let's get into that in just one moment. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Oy, that was a lot. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is also smoother than ever, which is so important. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. And I can tell you that is a game changer. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. All right, so that game was a heartbreaker. Obviously, a lot of frustration with the officials, but there were so many positives. I'm going to start with one of my favorite things to do, which is bring up our mic meter. Ian, where do we think Mike stands on the mic meter today? I feel like it was a 6 for me.
He was excellent. I'll point at like 5, that area. I thought when Mike Matheson is on the penalty kill, he is in his bag. Like, that guy is so good on the penalty kill. I think it was on that 5-on-3 or right after the 5-on-3 ended, where he was on his butt and he just launched the puck out of the zone. Like, he's penalty killing so well, he doesn't even need to be standing up. This is another one of those games that we talk about all the time. When you guys see the bad Mike Matheson games and you guys all lose your minds, you always forget about these ones. This was an excellent game from Mike Matheson in Game 4 when the Canadiens needed him to come up clutch, not only because of the fact that they were shorthanded a bunch, but it was because most of that game was played without Alex Carrier, who was injured in the first period, stepped out for a little bit, played in the second, got hurt again late in the game. I'd be surprised if we saw him again, to be honest, because I think he's got a pretty significant injury after that hit from Tom Wilson. But anyway, Mike Matheson was great. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. The penalty kill was phenomenal. That penalty kill, it like gave me feelings. Like, that's how good it was. I thought the Canadiens did a magnificent job. Yes, the Caps are struggling right now on their power play, but like, you shouldn't be struggling with weapons like Ovechkin. Like, you know what I mean?
That was the point I was going to make, was like, how many clean looks did Ovechkin get?
Exactly.
I think maybe one in this game, which
in
like
the 5
if
on
you're
3.
yeah, and like I mean Savard is eating them. Let's be real. Like he's out there. He might play his final game of this next week, and the
Yeah.
dude is out there just eating rubber. Does not matter to him. I thought the special teams in general were just such a really big boon for the
Yeah.
Canadians in this game. The power play kept them in it.
Mhm.
I think we should talk about the power play really quick because I know people are going. They've scored 4 times since Line left the lineup, and I
Yes.
think people are using that as sort of uh, an
A gotcha.
opportunity to take a shot at Patrick Laine at this point, which by the way, he's injured. It's very obvious he's injured. After game 3, they showed a clip of him in the locker room trying to clap and he couldn't do anything with his hands. So like it's very clear what is going on with him.
The man was playing with one knee, and then he was playing with one arm, shoulder situation, whatever it is, a
Yeah.
hand. Like it's an upper body injury. It's definitely like, but that was the thing. Like it was very obvious because there were points in that first game. I don't remember if it was the first or the second, but either way, there were points where there was nobody defending him on that power play, and he still couldn't make the shot, right? Like
Yeah.
his arm or hand or whatever is not working. And it just makes me so angry that people just take those cheap shots at that guy because this was not a situation where he didn't give enough, right? And like
Yeah.
you can't like playing an injured player is often a liability. It can't be like, oh, well, Brendan Gallagher gets out there and injures himself or
It's a
whatever.
different
And he
player,
plays
man.
different people, different players, different skill sets, and that's really
Yes.
important. And so when the precision of your shot is so important and the ability to be creative is so important, if your hand or your arm or whatever that thing is not working wherever the injury is, you cannot play. You become a liability. So
Yep.
no, like he's not soft because he's injured, and that makes me so angry. The power play is not miraculously better because he's not there. The power play
No.
is better because it's forced Marty to be more creative.
It's forced the players to be more creative too, right? Like they cannot just defer to Patty, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
one of the first power play goal was on Slafkovsky because Demidov just went around a guy, made the Bell Center stand up on their feet, and then found Slafkovsky on the other side of the net for a goal.
For those of you who speak French, the word for what Demidov and Slafkovsky did to Roy there was déculotté. For those of you who speak English, there's no word that's like that special, but it's like just think of it as pantsed, but like
Yeah, they
better
pantsed him.
because we said it in French. Like that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I think the power play is just super exciting because that's the core of this team, right? Like
Yeah.
Patty has a year left. I would be surprised if he's on this team beyond that year. And he might not even be on power play 1 next year. Right?
Yeah.
Like if they can show that this power play unit works to a high degree, you cannot keep Demidov on power play 2. So then
No,
you just have a cool weapon on power play 2 in Patrick Laine. Like it's
exactly. And then you
incredible.
can have you can have maybe Nick Suzuki not play 2.5 minutes on a 2-minute power play, right?
Right. Well, and hopefully at that point you've got a real second line center to put on that second
Number
power
two
play, right?
C.
Like let's not forget that's why Suzuki is there, is because Kirby Dach isn't here.
Or there's no number 2C or adequate number 2C on this game.
Right.
Right. So some other positives, like honestly, like I thought that I've lost my train of thought. Oh, David Savard. You did talk about him, I thought David Savard was so effective this game. And I love Josh Anderson's game too. I
Mhm.
thought Christian Dvorak was unfairly maligned.
Yeah.
Libel, slander, whatever it is. Like, because I thought he also had a pretty strong game.
Yeah.
Again, did not love the whole overall like team effort. But I really appreciate, and Jakub Dobish, like honestly, like I don't know
He's
that you can
battling
fault him. Yeah, like
battling out there, man.
yeah, I don't know that you can fault him for any of the things. I feel like when you're looking at this team, Alex Carrier, obviously he's injured, blah blah blah, but he's been
It's a
so
massive
phenomenal this
loss.
series. Like I look at this team and I just get goosebumps just thinking about them 2 years from now or even next year, right? They find that second line center and like Reinbacher makes the team next year, it's a
Yeah.
whole other ball game, right?
Yeah.
I have so much affection for it. I'm just so excited for the future. And we're not talking about off-season stuff because we have some thoughts
Nope.
about like, what's personnel changes and stuff, but it's not over until it's actually over, until they're actually out. And given that the Washington Capitals are clearly frauds, I'm not counting the Canadians out just yet. It was 3-1. Maybe it's another, it was 3-1 year. There's no guarantee. I'm going to do a math. I know that's Ian's job. I'm going to do one math is that, the Canadiens need to win more games than the Washington Capitals do to win this series. The Canadiens cannot afford to lose a single game. It's not over. And if there's any team that I believe in this team so much more than I would have in the one that came back from 3-1 in 2010, the one that came back from 3-1 in 2021 and swept the Winnipeg Jets and beat I believe in this team more than I believed in those teams. So until it's over, we're not having any off-season discussions, but we have some exciting ones.
Yeah. I have two more positive things to end on here. Arbor Xhekaj, I thought, played a phenomenal hockey game. I thought he was very good, very physical, but composed. He played within himself. He made some great plays with the puck. He made some great plays taking the puck away. Loved his game. I would imagine that if Carrier's out, we're probably getting Struble back in for game 5.
And we'll see.
So we'll see that. But hopefully Carrier is okay, but I wouldn't count on him. Again, they have 2 days before the next game. The next game is not until Wednesday, so potentially some time for him to come back. Maybe even Montembeault to come back. I don't know what exactly his injury is.
It's day to day, apparently.
We're all day to day, Laura.
Yeah. There was this one moment. Wait,
go ahead.
Still on Arbor Xhekaj. There was this one moment. I saw Marty putting his hands on Arbor's shoulders, and I could swear to you, I thought he was telling him he was proud of him.
Yeah, I bet.
He didn't lose his mind.
I thought Arbor Xhekaj played a very I know people want to see him go out there and take guys' heads off and whatever. No. There's some gladiator sort of enjoyment out of that, whatever. I thought he played a very effective hockey game when they needed him to, right? They needed the D to step up in the absence of Carrier, and I thought he did that phenomenally.
I agree with you. All right, you had one more positive before we go to our next segment.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the poise that this team is playing with. There's a lot of moments where, it would be easy for them to lose their cool. If they're mad about officiating, they're not really showing it on the ice too much. Yeah, they barked at the referees from time to time, but it's not it's not throwing them off their game. And in comparison, I think the Washington Capitals have straight up lost their minds a few times. Like the Ovechkin penalty, he was mad because they did not get anything done on that 5-on-3, and he took it out on Jake Evans. Like he was upset at how well they penalty killed that he did a violence against somebody. I thought that was one of them. There's another clip in the middle of the second period where Caufield goes to give Connor McMichael a bump and then skates away from him. And as he skates away, Connor McMichael throws a very vicious elbow towards the back of Cole Caufield's head, and he missed because he sucks. So that to me is just these guys are losing this 8 seed is causing this Capitals team to lose their minds. And the Canadiens are this young team that does not seem rattled by any of this. Yes, they're down in the series. They were supposed to be. They're an 8 seed that got in on the last day of the season. But I just find that they're playing with a lot of confidence right now in a way that I think the Capitals are just kind of unraveling at times.
Yes, absolutely. So the next question becomes, can we count on this Caps team to unravel enough to let the Canadiens back into the series? The challenge ahead of them is so steep. But you know what? Maybe there are some things they can do about it, and we're going to talk about that in just one moment. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It is the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or I just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids. The satisfying crack of opening each shell is like a snack meditation, but if you're ever in a rush, get the no-shell variety for your grab-and-go ease. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit Wonderful Pistachios to learn more. All right, so if I'm Marty, what am I doing before the next game? I think the first thing I'm doing is probably calling up Jeff Molson and saying, Can you remind people who the board of governors of this league is? And can you talk about how much money the Montreal Canadiens bring into the league when they're in there? That's the first thing I'm doing if I'm Marty. Now, Marty has a lot more class than I do. He's been in the league a lot longer. He has like he does the whole like the proper hockey way to behave and all of that. But I think one thing that he said in his post game, other than the veiled discussion about embellishment, is that his group is very confident, and he said it was in French, and I can't remember exactly the wording, but he said he didn't know what to tell his guys because obviously they're disappointed. Obviously, their backs are now against the wall, and obviously, there's a lot of unfairness to what happened in Game 4. So I think a lot of what Marty has to do is just try to keep them on an even keel and manage their emotions over the next 2.5 days.
Yep. Look, they got to get back to practice. First of all, they have to know who they're going to have for the next game, which might not happen for a while. We're still waiting on a status update on Alex Carrier. Again, it looked pretty bad. I wouldn't be surprised if he missed Game 5, but we will wait for that when it happens. I mean, we all thought Logan Thompson wasn't going to play, and there he was. By the way, that whole thing with them leaving the ice at the same time during warmups, I'm just like, are you as a 1 seed really using all of this playoff sort of gamesmanship on an 8 seed that you guys should have just already run out of the building? I find that all to be very aren't you guys better than this? Anyway, whatever. I'm done
Also,
ranting about that.
honestly, I have to be really honest with you. A guy who's coming back from a concussion, who took multiple hits to the noggin in Game 3, also got run over, and we thought it was a knee thing, but he also hit his head on the ice in Game 3. I don't know if I'm really rushing that guy back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think the Canadians got enough rubber at him, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he was going to be a factor in this game, he made one really big save in the first period on Suzuki, and then really they didn't test him a ton. Like every other shot that they got that was a tough shot went in.
That forecheck needed to be better. It absolutely
Yes,
needed to be better.
and that starts with the fourth line. I mean, they're only getting 5.5 minutes out of Kapanen at this point. It starts with that second line. It's the Dvorak line. They have to be the ones to get in deep and get the puck to the front of the net. I think the first line's been playing really well still. I think that they're right there. I think, again, we talk about the positives of this team, the things to look forward to. Slafkovsky being that guy that they hoped he would be when they got to the playoffs is one of the greatest revelations this team has had, right? We were all over them about that pick, but they picked him for this moment, right? For these moments. And he's got 2 goals in the 4 games that they've played. He's been fantastic. He's part of a power play unit that's running, firing on all cylinders right now.
Déculoté.
Exactly. And look, Demidov is starting to get going, especially as he gets those looks on the power play. He's not going to have a ton of ice at 5-on-5. It's just space, not so much time. But those are the guys that are going to have to step up if they're going to get out of this and force a Game 6 and let the Bell Center get one more taste of this team, hopefully, before the end of the season. Because I think that's ultimately I know that's what Jeff Molson wants. He wants that home revenue for one more game. But I think the fans want that. I think the team wants to be in front of that fans. They keep mentioning it on the US broadcast, and I think they have on the Canadian one as well, that this Canadiens team has made such a unique bond with the fans in a way that I haven't felt in my time watching this team ever. There's just such you can draw a straight line from the team to the fans. They just feel like they're simpatico on a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
Which is I think the most exciting aspect of this, because that's going to be there, as long as this core is together.
Yes.
They need to force a Game 6. They need, like you said, that forecheck has to be better. Hopefully they'll get the calls now that they've used their get out of jail free card that every coach gets. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I mean, look, every time you win in the playoffs, you get another game. So if they win, they get another game. That's all we really want at this point in the series. Yeah. Again, all of this is house money. They've already done more than I would have expected them to do, quite honestly. So, I'm not too bummed about the situation they're in.
We were looking at another top 5 pick. We were looking at another top 5 pick and wondering if they were ever going to get out of that, right? Yeah. And I think it's not just that they made the playoffs, it's that all the signs point to, and I know a lot of things can go wrong, and it's all like we got to knock on wood and all of that kind of stuff, but this points to a team that is not going to fall into a never ending rebuild loop, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes with that, and like eliminating or preventing toxicity from entering the dressing room is one of them. And I
Yep.
think that this group is definitely like, you never know what could happen, but this group is definitely one where it's less likely to happen than often does, right? Like that's the way that I'm going to put it. And I think that the unique ability of Montreal to have that kind of fan, fans that scare people sometimes,
Yeah.
I think that that's an advantage over other rebuilding teams that have had situations where they don't have that, right? Like,
Yeah.
are you dying to play, in front of half empty arenas or like arenas that are only one third full and have no atmosphere? No, but you're
Yeah.
dying to like stick around in somewhere like here, right? And so that's one thing. The other thing that I do want to say is I remember at the beginning of this series, we said we wanted this to be playoff school. I feel like they've learned a lot of lessons.
A
So,
ton. They've learned
um,
so much. It cannot be overstated just how valuable it is for them to be in there, and that these games aren't blowouts. Yes, the score in
yeah,
this one's 5-2. It's a 3-2 game with two empty netters. Like I
yeah,
don't the 5-2 is whatever. They're learning so much by being in these games and learning what it takes in these moments to win. I I can find nothing but positives out of this from a long-term perspective for the Canadians. And talking about the crowd, just one more moment here. Like the 5-on-3 that the Caps got, the Canadians killed that, and that roof was going to cave in. And then they drew a power play, and that roof was going to cave in. And then Cole Caufield scored, and that building exploded. Like they're right there along with this team the entire way. It's really nice to see. The only time that crowd got quiet was the game winning goal. That was the
yeah.
only time that the crowd was like genuinely anxious about what was happening.
Absolutely. And I think there's something too, like one of my friends likes to say that she's scared that the Bell Center roof is going to cave in. I really think that these fans, like, I believe it. All right. So one final thing that I wanted to say is that we are not going to do the like rundown of what lessons they specifically learned until the off season. That's off season content. We are not in the off season. We are still very much alive, and we have no reason to believe that there won't be a game 6. And if there's a game 6, we won't have any reason to believe that there won't be a game 7.
Absolutely.
But first, they got to win game 5. All right. Is it time for trivia so we can get out of here?
It is, and it's game 5 related. When Montreal went down 3-1 against the Capitals in 2010, who had the game winning goal in game 5 that kickstarted the comeback for the Montreal Canadiens? So who had the game winner in game 5? It was a 2-1 win for the Montreal Canadiens in 2010 back in Washington. The series will follow the same script essentially because the power imbalance was the same in that series. So who had the game winner in game 5 that kickstarted the Canadiens comeback? If you have the answer, put it down in the comments while you're there. Put on a contest entry and try to win this picture of this guy that Tom Wilson thinks about at night and keeps him up, and Josh Anderson.
And also, if you're Tom Wilson, I know you want that picture, but you have to be subscribed before you can have it.
Yeah.
So that's the last word. All right. And don't forget, there is an Arbor Jack Eye picture as well. All right. So for those of you who are listening for the first time, we have a contest. You have to be subscribed. Ian is giving away his precious Habs memorabilia one by one. We've got a Josh Anderson picture up for grabs once we hit 4,500. And then we've got an Arbor Jack Eye picture, both signed, up for grabs once we hit 5,000 subscribers. So please make sure you're subscribed. And then all you have to do is one time between now and the time we hit that number, say the words contest entry in a comment on YouTube. Thank you so much. All right. So we will be back tomorrow, probably talking about some more, things the Canadians can do not to die in the series. And you can start by subscribing, first of all. Subscribe to our podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. You can follow us all over social media. We're on TikTok at Locked On Canadians. We're on Blue Sky at Locked On Canadians. We are on Instagram at Locked On Canadians. You can also DM us on all of those media, I guess. And if you ever want to email us, we're at lockedoncanadians@gmail.com. We love mailback questions, but we also love observations. We also love, pictures of your kids in Habs jerseys or anecdotes and things like that about what the Habs mean to you. We will also take any comments that you have about the officiating this time. The floor is yours. That's lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com. We want to thank you all so much for listening. You'll find my co-host on social media. Maybe it's Ian. You'll find me at The Active Stick. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back tomorrow.